With a confident grin, our hero kicks off as soon as the round starts, prompting everyone to scramble to avoid being left behind. In a true test to filter out the dimwits, a thirsty hunter falls victim to an obvious water fountain trap. A sticky worm emerges from the ground, swallowing him whole and eliminating him. However, he is saved by the suit's safety measures. Meanwhile, our hero sprints through the forest in search of his target. At the same time, the rescue team extracting the eliminated candidate suddenly receives a signal with the order to track down candidate 104, Han Dae-sung. Now let's return to our protagonist, who finally finds a swamp orc. Taunting the oversized pig while holding a boulder, he effortlessly tosses it into the air like a ball. With a punch, he shatters the boulder into thousands of pellets that annihilate the monster. Witnessing this, the rescue guy realizes why he was sent to spy on one of the candidates. Meanwhile, our Demon King understands that hunting the orcs one by one is the most efficient approach. To speed things up, he reluctantly taps into his mana and summons a shadow wraith. As time passes, he arrives at a cave teeming with swamp orcs. The cave begins to shake, causing the pack of monsters to become cautious about what is about to happen. Suddenly, the ceiling bursts open, and our boy makes an epic landing. Forced to dig deep into the earth like a peasant, he is visibly annoyed. The monsters celebrate thinking their prey has come to them, but he casually counts them with his magic wand-like stick. Counting enough targets to complete his mission, he tells the Flame King to translate the monsters' final words. Upon hearing that the monsters are discussing hunting the ruler of hell, he orders the demon sword to burn them to ashes. Elsewhere in the forest, Cho-young uses her aura to search for targets. As her skill detects one, she instantly kicks through the trees like a bullet. The confident Soul Clan ace estimates that she can clear the first floor in a single hour. As Cho-young approaches her fourth kill, a hunter suddenly flies in and snatches it away. Her pupils widen in shock at the monstrous figure that flashes by her. Scornfully, she looks down upon the Hongma scumbag, who loudly boasts about his fifth kill. Frustrated, she declares that stealing kills is expected behavior from Hongma trash. In response, he mocks her for being foolish enough to think the kill belonged to her. The two continue their trash talk, glaring daggers at each other. High on drugs, Jinchul considers murdering her to eliminate the annoyance but decides to hold off until the second floor. With that, Cho-young turns away with a sigh and erects her middle finger, with an infuriatingly smug grin. Fuming, the short-tempered cheater charges in, ready to kill her. But both of them suddenly freeze, their attention grabbed by a roaring sound. Mere minutes before their meeting, Daesung uses his flame sword to smolder his foes, unleashing the Hellfire Greatsword's first skill. Suddenly, a bolt of ravaging flames burst out of his tiny stick and envelope their target, creating a tornado that erupts into the sky. The shocked observers are left speechless. With this display, the AI announces our fiery hero's promotion to the second floor. Chaos erupts among the judges, who fail to find any information on him, while others rush to recruit him. The Soul Clan leader grins, intrigued by our demon lord's monstrous power. Annoyed by Jinchul's spotlight being stolen, Seokwoo scoffs and walks away in disappointment. The clerk lady from the ranking place starts rattling her colleague, who mocked her hunch about Daesung. Meanwhile, another observer can hardly believe his eyes, realizing that the weak old geezer, Jin Song, has been tailing him the entire time. With an axe in hand, the foolish old man begins finishing off the half-burnt corpses left behind by our boy, racking up 11 kills. The ranking place employees discuss how the geezer could possibly get in, so the clerk lady spills the beans about his barrage of complaints. Seeing his employees slacking off, the branch manager arrives to explain that he personally approved the geezer. He reveals that the old man was reported to have entered a gate strapped with dynamite. Dumbfounded, the clerk lady asks if the madman is trying to commit suicide. However, the branch manager shares the bald geezer's tragic backstory. It seems he lost his family to a gate fracture and now lives solely for revenge. Questioned about his unnecessary favoritism towards a candidate, the manager takes pride in nominating Daesung and jokes that the 3-month pay cut to cover the damages was worth it. As they mention his name, the screen focused on our hero begins to blur. While somewhere else in the stadium, Seokwoo throws a hidden message to a hitman-looking guy and informs him that the control room feed is down. The man is confused, recalling that they were supposed to eliminate our protagonist from the second or third floor. Seokwoo clarifies that the plan has changed now that Daesung left Jinchul in the dust. With his creepy smile, the Hongma leader jokes that eliminating him sounds too harsh. In the end, he tells the guard to read his orders, which are to inject a mutant serum into the monsters at the second floor's gate. As a result, the scout following our protagonist carries it out. So as our hero approaches the gate to the second floor, Seokwoo awaits his failure with a sadistic smile. As the mutant ampules are injected into the golem monster at the second floor's gate, the creature evolves into a mutant swamp-floating golem, now able to produce fog to mislead anyone approaching it. The man hired by Seokwu finds himself amused at the sight of the mutant creation, admiring the monstrous result he helped bring to life, and hoping for a generous monetary reward. However, the item he holds suddenly explodes, revealing it had been tainted with a paralysis agent, likely placed there by Seokwu himself to eliminate all evidence. Paralyzed and unable to move, the man watches helplessly as the swamp golem approaches him, showing no intention of letting him escape. Meanwhile, the demon lord grows increasingly concerned, realizing that he has been walking in circles for a while. The map installed in his equipment appears to be malfunctioning, leaving him disoriented. As he moves forward, he stumbles upon the decomposed corpse of the man hired by Seokwu. Suspicion immediately arises in his mind, as he doubts the test organizers would have intentionally left the body in this spot. Suddenly, the shadow of the monster looms before the demon lord, followed by a swift surprise attack. He deflects it just in time, using his flame sword cleverly disguised as an ordinary stick. However, before he can fully react, the golem hurls a massive boulder in his direction, which detonates on impact, releasing a surge of smoke and fiery heat. To survive the intense heat, our hero activates his absorb flame skill, shielding himself from the scorching blast. He contemplates using the same fury skill that once defeated the orcs, but unfortunately, it remains on cooldown. Worse still, the golem seems unwilling to wait for its recharge. The floating swamp golem unleashes a rapid sequence of attacks, which the demon lord deflects with growing frustration. Finding the barrage irritating, Daesung resolves to end the battle decisively by driving his blade through the creature's core. Rushing toward the golem, Daesung strikes its core with a powerful punch, but his efforts barely scratch the surface of its solid rock body. In retaliation, the golem sends him flying through the air with overwhelming force. The scene then shifts to Jinchil, the cheater. He has just defeated his final ogre, successfully fulfilling the conditions to ascend to the second floor. In reward, he receives a small, special box containing a compass for navigation, an ampule, and a cryptic note. Essentially tools for his continued cheating. After reading the note and realizing Daesung is still on the first floor, he burns it without hesitation. The scene returns to our hero, who has just been slammed into a tree. He quickly regains his footing, and with a smirk on his face, summons his sludge-like shadow ghost, commanding it to consume the golem. Drawing his sword, he carves a path for the sinister creature, promising it a reward double what it gives him. The flames shrink the shadow ghost to a mere fraction of its original size, but as the golem approaches, it suddenly swells back to its full form. With rapid growth, it extends multiple shadowy hands, grabbing hold of all the golem's burning stones. Meanwhile, Daesung's screen flickers back to life. Though all the exam faculty can see is a dense fog, one of the employees remarks that the first floor was supposed to resemble a tropical rainforest, suggesting that something has clearly gone awry. Suddenly, the golem appears on the screen, causing the spectators to question why such a monster has been placed in the test. The branch manager's attendant notes that the creature is a mutant in every sense and asks for orders on how to proceed. However, the branch manager remains unresponsive, completely absorbed by the scene unfolding on the screen. At that moment, another employee arrives and informs him that the test examiners have surrounded Daesung. They ask whether they should forcibly intervene and stop the test. Apologizing, the manager acknowledges that the situation can no longer be helped. But just then, the clerk lady points out something on the screen. It seems the golem has already been defeated. Its burning fragments are seen flying through the air, followed by a powerful explosion. At this moment, the manager finally grasps the true strength of their demon king. What he had earlier dismissed as a mere measurement error now becomes glaringly obvious. Daesung's power is beyond their ability to grade, rendering their attempts futile. The branch manager reflects on Daesung, now perceiving him as a monster beyond imagination, possessing unparalleled strength. Meanwhile, the clerk lady who had previously been impressed by Daesung appears to be rooting for him quietly. However, her colleague cautions that despite his power, Daesung might be unaware of the bigger picture. As Jinchil seems poised to beat him to the second floor, an employee asks the branch manager whether he wants to withdraw the personnel deployed around Daesung. The manager declines, instead instructing the employee to have them submit a report once they've uncovered what exactly has transpired. The scene shifts to cheater number 14, Jinchil, who is filled with rage as he darts around, searching for the gate that should be close by. He notices the fog beginning to thin, indicating that the golem has been destroyed, but he remains confident that he will be the first to reach the second floor. Meanwhile, the demon lord pours his blood over the remnants of the mutant golem, preparing to use his soul prison on it. With a commanding voice, he utters the word, summon, leaving the mouths of all the spectators agape in shock. As the spectators watch in disbelief, the monster is brought back to life. The demon king commands the creature to stop posturing and show its true form, noting that it has already delayed him long enough. The golem bows down, and Daesung steps onto it, instructing it to run toward the gate. Upon arriving at the gate, Jinchul feels a surge of excitement, convinced he is the first to reach it. However, his thrill quickly turns to bewilderment when he hears an unusual noise echoing around him. The scene then transitions to Seokwoo, who enters the screen room followed by his men, commenting that he had expected the test to be over by now. As he glances at the screen and sees his pawn looking bewildered, anger washes over him, fueled by frustration at his shortcomings. The scene shifts back to Daesung, who is calmly riding the floating golem, using the Flames King's breath to clear a path. He skillfully creates the shortest route, which undoubtedly leads straight toward the gate. He throws a punch at the golem's head, urging it to run faster, mimicking the actions of a rider on a donkey or horse. He keeps using his flames to clear the path ahead, driving the golem forward. At the same time, employees and onlookers conclude that number 104 likely employed some kind of summoning technique. In this world, such a technique is entirely new and unheard of. One staff member suggests that it might be a type of aura-based technique. The colleague standing next to the clerk remarks that this test is bound to go viral on YouTube, commending Daesung for resembling a hero straight out of a fantasy movie. Seokwoo, in frustration, slams his fist on the desk in the control room. An employee approaches, calmly suggesting that he should leave the room if he intends to keep causing a disturbance. Seokwoo regains control of his anger and pretends with a polite tone that he momentarily lost his composure due to the incredible performance of number 104. Standing beside him, the Seoul clan leader, Jun Young, remarks with a hint of bluffing that Seokwoo could never have foreseen this, and confidently predicts that Choyoung will soon arrive at the gate entrance. Jinchul, equally annoyed by Daesung, is swiftly approached from behind by Choyoung. Spotting her, he dashes toward the gate, determined not to be left behind, turning the moment into an impromptu race. Meanwhile, our hero has already arrived on the second floor with his golem puppet. Noticing that this level is engulfed in a blizzard, the complete opposite of the first, he mocks the test administrators for their lack of creativity. Dismissing the golem, he receives congratulations for being the first to reach the second floor. The guiding AI soon reveals the conditions for the next part of the test. The AI explains that the top 5 players will each begin from different entrances, and all participants will share a single goal: to reach the peak of the snow-covered mountain. The Demon Lord makes a rough guess that the distance is around 5 kilometers and begins his ascent. He finds it irritating to climb with his bare hands, especially knowing that cameras are positioned everywhere, preventing him from using his abilities. The scene shifts to Jinchul, irritated by his position on the mountain. The test has clearly taken a toll on his nerves, and he's consumed with frustration, fearing he might lose control and his temper unless he eliminates number 104, who reached the gate before him, despite all the dirty tricks he had planned. Suddenly Jinchul hears movement a short distance behind him. Furious, he shouts, demanding to know who it is. To his surprise, it's the same old Baldy from before. Somehow, the man has made it to the second floor just in time, though the harsh weather appears to be overwhelming him. With a villainous gleam in his eyes, Jinchul presses against the mountainside, attempting to trigger an avalanche to get rid of the unsuspecting man. The Baldy slaps his own face, trying to gather his strength as memories of his lost family flash through his mind. With a burst of defiance, he shouts that he doesn't feel the cold at all. However, his determination is short-lived, as he's soon swept away by the avalanche. Jin Cheol, after successfully getting rid of him, gives a sinister smile. Immediately afterward, the broadcast drones malfunction, leaving the staff unable to monitor the situation. Seokwoo, who is undoubtedly behind the disruption, silently wishes his pawn good luck, hoping he won't make any mistakes or disappoint him. The scene shifts back to the second floor, where some of the regular players, though chilled by the harsh conditions, encourage each other to keep going. Suddenly Jinchul appears behind them, moving at lightning speed. Without warning, he grabs their heads and crushes them in his hands. Enhanced by the Orc Champion Ampule effect, Jinchul looks enormous and unstoppable, killing everyone in his path as he advances. Meanwhile, Choyoung is left bewildered, noticing that all the tech and electronic devices have mysteriously stopped functioning. Daesung, on the other hand, sees this as a fortunate turn of events, realizing that he can now use his skills freely without being noticed. Daesung leaps off the cliff, activating his Destruction Dragon Knight Valor's armor. As his majestic demonic wings unfold, he soars through the air. Choyoung, sensing a powerful and unfamiliar aura, looks up and sees Daesung flying above with an imposing presence. Meanwhile, Jinchul, still busy slaughtering other players, catches sight of Daesung flying toward the peak. He speculates that Daesung might have used a Harpy Ampule to gain the ability to fly, and immediately starts chasing after him. The scene shifts back to the association building, where Jun Young is urgently requesting the branch manager to abort the test. He argues that the safety of the awakened should be their top priority, pushing for the test to be halted immediately. The president, appearing spaced out, asks Seoul Clan Captain Junyoung to be patient, reassuring him that an investigation team will be sent as soon as possible. Seok-woo, however, takes the opportunity to mock Junyoung, questioning why he would even call them awakened if they can't handle such minor risks. This remark ignites Junyoung's anger. Captain Junyoung, now suspicious, directly questions Seok-woo, asking if he is responsible for the current situation. Seok-woo, ignoring the question, continues to taunt him, insinuating that Cho-young must be weak if Junyoung is so worried about her. He pushes further, calling Junyoung an old man and suggesting that he should consider retiring, deliberately stepping on his nerves. The scene then shifts back to Dae-sung, who has reached the peak and is warming up, preparing himself to enter the third floor. Meanwhile, the old baldy somehow manages to survive the avalanche, lying in the snow as tears stream down his face. Rising to his feet, he shouts out loud, declaring himself a victor for having survived. It's only fair that he revels in his success, as the first step is always the most challenging. As Cho-young enters the third floor, she learns about the conditions for clearing this level. To progress, participants must acquire 1,000 points, which can be earned by defeating the monsters that inhabit this new environment. As it is very dark, Cho-young remains cautious, taking a moment for her vision to adjust to the shadows. Suddenly, a loud noise comes from behind her. Turning around, she sees her rival, the cheater Jinchul, standing there, bulked up as if he's on steroids. Jinchul remarks that she is fortunate to have arrived before him, but Cho-young dismisses his comments, telling him not to be so noisy. Her primary concern is not Jinchul but Dae-sung, who has outpaced everyone on both the first and second floors. Even her captain has acknowledged his formidable strength. Cho-young receives an alert indicating an aura reactor error, but before she can react, Jinchul cowardly attacks her from behind, leaving her injured. Jinchul, the cheater, smugly claims that he had originally intended to deal with Dae-sung first, but has now altered his plans to target her instead. Meanwhile, our demon lord is focused on grinding points to clear the stage. He activates his fire cannon special skill, annihilating the targets in front of him with ease. He comments to the Fire King that it has grown rusty if it takes this long to defeat such minor opponents. Glancing at his points, he notices they are stuck at 530 and wonders what is happening. He resolves to eliminate all the remaining targets before figuring out the issue. The scene shifts to the branch manager, who is increasingly worried because the network has still not returned. As the atmosphere fills with anxiety, the biggest cheater of all, Seok-woo, remains relaxed. He has fused the ampule he gave to his pawn with a hedgehog, allowing him to monitor her pulse. Seok-woo glances at the anxious Junyoung and informs him that his trainee would likely be half-blind or in pretty bad shape if she were to make it back alive. The scene shifts to Cho-young, who is badly wounded. She asks Jinchul, the cheater, about his objective. In a disturbingly inhumane manner, cheater number 14 licks the girl's blood and taunts her, asking if she isn't going to use her shield aura. Cho-young decides to fight back, launching a kick at Jinchul. However, her kick misses, and she quickly retreats into hiding. This move irritates Jinchul, who mocks her for being a coward. Desperate, she tries to heal herself but is spotted by Jinchul. In a swift motion, she throws her defensive suit at his face, then follows up with a strike to his groin and a knee slam to his face. Declaring herself the ace of the Seoul clan, she channels all her strength into her attack, slamming Jinchul to the ground. With that, she moves away, determined to find and hunt the monsters. Meanwhile, Dae-sung grows increasingly frustrated with the device he is wearing, finding it useless as it records no points. He wonders whether he should go and ask the organizers about the malfunctioning equipment, realizing that all their devices seem rusty and unreliable. As Cho-young navigates the area, she finds herself alone, puzzled about where everyone is gone. Suddenly, Jinchul approaches from behind, seeking revenge. Alarmed, she turns to run for her life. But Jinchul appears in front of her as if he had blinked, slamming her down to the ground. He continues to attack her relentlessly, behaving like a nasty goblin, causing her to bleed. Grabbing her by the hair, he holds her head and taunts her, stating that she will face a painful death. Tears stream down Cho-young's face as she bleeds and receives a punch to her abdomen. Jinchul taunts her, asking her to call for help, only to mock her by reminding her that all the equipment is broken. Seizing an opening, Cho-young thrusts her finger into Jinchul's eyes, causing him to bleed and howl in pain. She tries to stand up to escape, but Jinchul grabs her by the neck, lifting her off the ground. Just as he prepares to throttle her to death, Dae-sung appears from behind, confronting him and demanding to know what he thinks he is doing. Upon seeing Dae-sung, Jinchul immediately releases Cho-young and bursts into mad laughter. Viewing Dae-sung as the prey that has walked right into his trap, he tells Dae-sung that he has been looking all over for him. Our demon lord thanks Jinchul for waiting, deliberately dodging his attack as he walks over to Cho-young. Noticing her poor condition, he wonders if she has a significant wound, given her slow recovery. Turning to face Jinchul, Daesung questions him if he is the one behind her injuries. With a smirk on his face, Jinchul replies that he merely taught her a lesson, and soon, he will make Daesung look just like her. Daesung reiterates his question, clarifying that he is referring to the broken point meter. Jinchul laughs, launching a wave attack toward Daesung. He mocks the Demon Lord, claiming that he is out of luck since the emergency protection is broken. Instantly, Daesung dashes toward the creep and delivers a powerful punch to his face, sending him flying. Following up with a fire barrage attack, Daesung adds insult to injury. Despite this, the cheater still refuses to recognize his situation, believing he can easily take down Daesung. However, his confidence wavers when he suddenly notices a group of tamed spirits standing behind Daesung, filling him with fear. The scene shifts to the Korean Hunters Association building, where the clerk lady approaches the branch manager, informing him that the network has been restored on the second floor. However, she mentions that it will still take another 30 minutes for the network on the third floor to be restored. The branch manager instructs her to deploy the security crew from the second floor to the door of the third floor. The atmosphere grows tense between the leaders of the two major guilds. Suddenly, a staff member approaches the branch manager, delivering alarming news. According to the security team, there is one confirmed death and numerous casualties reported from the second floor. This revelation tenses the branch manager, who never anticipated such an outcome, making him realize he should have called off the test. Meanwhile, Chanho is reviewing the news update and learns about the video transmission failure at a test site that hasn't been restored for over an hour. Realizing it's the same place his friend has gone to, he quickly grabs his coat and prepares to visit the location. The scene shifts back to Jinchul, cheater number 14, who is now running for his life after realizing that his prey has turned into a predator. Suddenly, one of his legs gets slashed off, causing him to fall to the ground in a supine position. Jinchul quickly uses a regeneration ampule to regrow his leg, now left with just one more. Daesung mocks him, comparing him to the bugs in hell that also regenerate in such a grotesque manner. As Jinchul's leg regenerates, the network on the third floor gets restored, allowing everyone to see the live recording of Daesung confronting Jinchul on screen. Seokwoo grows worried as he watches his puppet on his knees, begging for his life and declaring that he has already used up all his ampules and cannot regenerate anymore. Completely unaware of what a regeneration ampule is, Daesung retorts that he will try splitting it in two to see if he can multiply like bacteria do. As the creep gets pulverized, he begs even more desperately for mercy. Noticing a spark of light, our Demon Lord realizes it is a camera and that the connection has been restored. He then diverts his attention back to Jinchul, presenting him with a proposition. Daesung offers the creep a chance to be set free alive if he can correctly answer 3 of his questions. Desperate to save his life, Jinchul eagerly asks Daesung if he is telling the truth. Daesung, using his sword disguised as a stick, makes Jinchul bow before him and delivers a chilling death stare, declaring that if he finds him lying, he will split him in 2 halves. With that, our Demon Lord begins the questionnaire. The first question he poses is whether Jinchul is the one responsible for everything that has happened at the test site. This question thickens the tense atmosphere, creating an air of anxiety that permeates the surroundings, especially affecting Seokwoo, the cheater captain. Annoyed by the sudden silence of the loudmouth, our Demon Lord warns Jinchul to respond quickly if he does not want to be bisected. In response, the proud guy begins bawling and admits to orchestrating everything like a crybaby. Daesung finds the emotional confession intriguing. Not wasting a moment, our hero asks his second question. Pressured to reveal the mastermind's identity, Jinchul immediately throws his clan leader under the bus. The mention of the Hongma clan behind everything surprises our hero, but this fuels rumors in the control room. Suspecting from the start, everyone in the control room turns to look at the long-haired creep. Hearing the accusations, Seokwoo boils with rage at his pet's betrayal. Out of options, he lashes out at the management. However, the branch manager remains unfazed and orders him to prepare an explanation for the police. Realizing he is lost, the man agrees to attend his hearing at the Hunter's Bureau. With that, he silently lowers his head to avoid attracting more attention. Moments later, outside the stadium, Seokwoo leaves along with his guards. One of them wonders why the clan leader lowers his head like a peasant. Seokwoo calmly explains that it is the smartest choice to avoid the Seoul clan leader's fury. Rightly so, since Junyoung in the control room was boiling with anger. The manager expresses gratitude to the graceful leader for his patience, but Junyoung answers that he doesn't give a crap about the association. While the branch manager orders his team to implement maximum security measures, our protagonist poses his third question to the pathetic A-ranker kneeling before him. He asks if Jinchul possesses any points. Reluctantly, the crybaby answers honestly, still shook by the idea of being sliced in half. With that, the AI announces Daesung's victory and the conclusion of the 3-phase exam. However, our Demon King is not satisfied with the sudden win. As Jinchul the bootlicker looks up thinking he is safe, His smile warps with the two halves of his body. Living up to his title, the ruler of hell declares it a punishment for failing to answer in time. But before he leaves, his gaze shifts to Cho Young, still curled up on the floor, surrounded by a healing aura the whole time. Moments later, the security team arrives and begins evacuating the injured, including Cho Young. Observing the chaos from his office, the association's president shuts his laptop while reading the anti-Hongma comments. His secretary informs him that all 10 clans are gathering to meet up. The old man wonders if Daesung is the first monster in a while, after Korea's famous number 1, Lee Chang-shik. When the secretary confirms our hero's instant promotion, the grandpa of the hunters orders her to recruit him at all costs. So as the results are revealed, rumors spread about the Hongma clan's downfall, but they are interrupted by the cute AI's announcement. It explains that due to the unusual circumstances, the ranking criteria will be by the order of passing the first level. Consequently, our boy receives an A rank for securing first place. Having seen the results, Chanho immediately calls Daesung and asks where he is, so his pal answers that he's chilling in the S-rank hunter's restroom, leaving him speechless. Chilling in a massage chair, our boy's relaxation is interrupted by his best friend, who looks deeply confused. My guy casually mentions that the president's secretary told him to chill in the S-rank room. Amazing Chanho that Daesung was personally invited by the big boss. As the man of the hour sips his boba, he reveals that he might even be promoted to S-rank. Astonished, Chanho wonders about the insane amount of cash he could make. He updates his pal that there is a commotion outside because of this news. In the meantime, while journalists and recruiters gather, one of the participants steps out of an elevator. Everyone's eyes gravitate toward him, and they rush over to snatch the first interview. Enjoying the spotlight, the famous geezer celebrates his big win in the licensing exam. The reporters shout for his attention and ask him to share his name. With a straight face, the geezer introduces himself as Han Daesung. At that moment, the crowd goes wild, but after a while, as the crowd nearly stomps the geezer, some begin to realize that Daesung isn't supposed to be a hairless old man. As the result announcement concludes, the old man's borderline rank is revealed. Meanwhile, the rescued hunters escape, cursing Jinchul for his disgusting antics. However, the insider from the Hongma clan behind them is in a panic. With no news of Jinchul's body, he reluctantly approves the decision to close the gate. In the meantime, our hero's mother watches the sensational news. The anchor shares that despite a terrible accident in the toughest licensing exam of all time, one applicant shattered all records. Suddenly, a picture of Daesung appears on the TV, congratulating him on earning an A rank, along with speculation about his promotion to S rank. His mother is absolutely shocked and frantically calls for Jisoo. Worried about her mother, the daughter rushes in, shaken, and takes a look at the TV. Both mother and daughter are flabbergasted when the man of the hour enters the house and casually greets the frozen women. Meanwhile, at the Hongma clan building, inspectors from the association give an ultimatum to the leader, stating that they are forbidden from hunting again. The two inspectors advise Seokwoo to come with them obediently. However, trying to flaunt his rank as the 6th strongest hunter, Seokwoo declares it ridiculous to oust him on trivial charges. With a fake smile on the outside, the clan leader feels furious about how his little experiment is beginning to lead to his downfall. Manager Kim from the bureau delivers another warning. In response, the clan leader stands up and stresses that he shouldn't be detained just because of his association with Jinchul. Tired of the argument, the manager warns Seokwoo one last time and prepares to use force. The rank 6 hunter tells the manager to remember how Seokwoo became the leader. This statement makes the cool man sweat, as he recalls that the long-haired creep killed the previous leader in a raid to take his place. With that, Seokwoo unleashes his puppeteering skill. The manager instructs his partner to get ready to fight, causing the spiky-haired inspector to grow scared. The manager urges him to man up if he doesn't want to die and charges at Seokwoo. With a devilish smile, Seokwoo ends the fight in a single move. Before the manager can react, he is stabbed in the back by Jungwoo, his own partner. Appalled by the betrayal, Kim shouts at him, but the spiky-haired guy insists that he didn't move his body.